Hey guys, welcome to another EVE Online video. Tonight I'm going to do the first part in a series on Planetary Interaction, or I think it might now be known as Planetary Production, but everyone knows it as Planetary Interaction. I've had a few requests on some of my other videos to put a short series together on PI, so here's my first video. Basically, I just wanted to start before we dive into anything just by showing you guys I already have a full PI set up, but it's in a part of space that I don't fly in anymore, so this seems like an appropriate time to get rid of it, start again. But before I did that, I thought I'd just start by showing you what a full PI setup sort of looks like. Basically, to just so that you're aware, to get to Planetary Interaction stuff, you need to go to Industry and Planetary Production, as will bring up a list of all the planets you can interact with. As you'll see, I don't have the maxed out skills, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets on the go. Each one is producing a couple of different items that are then being shipped over to another planet, which is then producing a whole load of things, as you can see here. And all of this setup is to produce tier 4 organic mortar applicators. So tier 4 is the highest tier of PI product that can be produced. Organic mortar applicators just is one of those products. We'll have a look in more detail at those kinds of things later on in the video, and how you choose a planet, that sort of thing, that will come later in this video. But I just wanted to show you guys this before we got started and before I destroyed it all. If you just click view, it'll take you to a view of the planet, and basically this is what a simple PI setup looks like. This is essentially what you're looking at. Okay, you'll be looking nicely at the planet. When you're in planet view, you get these menus on the side up here, but essentially this is what you're looking at. Obviously bear in mind that I haven't touched this for a while, so could well be in completely the wrong places, but as you go through the scan menu, you can see the hotspots for the various materials. So you can see this is probably set up to harvest reactive gas, if I had to guess. Let me have a look. Extracting reactive gas, and this one is extracting noble gas. So you see, they'll both be running absolutely fine if they're running, which they're not at the moment. And let's just have a look at another one. So this type of PI is just producing simple tier 1 items, but eventually everything's getting shipped over to my production planet. This will be explained at another time. And over here it looks a fair bit more complicated on the production planet. You can see there's only one extractor. Everything else over here is manufacturing, and that is all to produce. Let's see how much is here, because I don't know. None are there. Over here, there you go, organic mortar applicators. At this point, the tier 4 reckons they're roughly 1 million a pop, so you've got 28 million just sat there in organic mortar. That's 18 million in coolant. So there are various things that you need to choose as to what you want to produce, and decide why you're doing Planetary Interaction. If it's just for some passive income, then it's pretty easy to decide what you might want to choose. If it's because you want to run a structure and therefore you need fuel and you want to build your own fuel, there are certain PI materials you need, like robotics and like coolant, so you want to obviously focus those. But that's it there, guys. So I'm going to launch the things I have here into space, come hoover them up, and then destroy these, and we'll make a start on a whole new PI setup with you guys just after this. So stick with it and we'll get started in just a minute. Speak to you in a sec. Okay guys, welcome back. So now I've cleared down my old PI fully. We're a few days later. Let's have a look. I've cleared it down completely, and you'll notice here I've already got another planet set up. I've already recorded this video. I've been through it all once and was really pleased with how it had gone, and obviously my recording software had messed up. I discovered when I'd finished and tried to have a look at what I'd done. So I've already started one planet, which I'll touch on in a second, but we'll go through setting up a T0 to a T1 system on a planet here, ignoring that I've already got that one running. So the first step to PI, in my opinion, is figuring out why are you doing PI. You know, are you just looking for a passive income stream? Are you looking to support a manufacturing project you're doing? Do you need to run a structure, therefore you're making fuel blocks, you know, that sort of thing, because that requires PI. You know, so straight away, what's the reason for doing PI? If it's just passive income stream, that's fine. But then obviously that gives you a lot of choice as to what you might make, and all this is to inform what you might want to produce in your PI. So for me, I am looking to support my industry. So my some T2 manufacturing requires planetary materials. So for example, basically a short-term goal for me is just to be able to manufacture everything that I use to fit my Stratios. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know the fit. And let me just quickly go into my industry. I'll do another series on industry, guys, so if you guys are not entirely sure what I'm talking about, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be doing a series of videos on industry later. But for the time being, you see I've got my medium armor repairers researching at the moment. If I look at the medium armor rep 2 variations, medium armor rep 2 industry, I need to look at there we are, you can see it there, but let's have a look at the blueprint. You can see here underneath industry on a T2 blueprint, required input materials, planetary materials. And so to manufacture this, I know I need to produce robotics. Now, how do I produce robotics is the next question. Okay, so I've decided I want to be able to produce robotics so that I can support my medium armor repairer manufacturing. Also worth pointing out that robotics are required for fuel block construction, so they're a pretty well sought after commodity anyway, just as a bit of a tip. So I know I want to build robotics. The next is to find out how to go about producing it. You can use the in-game tools, so if I go to robotics, Planetary Production, I can see in here that it's tier 3, and it can be built into tier 4, but I can also see, you know, that if in here to input to make robotics is mechanical parts and consumer electronics. How do I make mechanical parts? You can go in and you can so on until you found out the raw resource. Okay. A tool I really like to use, there are several tools online that help with this sort of thing, but the one I like to use, I'll show you now, is called eveplanets.com. I shall leave a link in the description, but essentially it's this website, eveplanets.com. It just gives you a list of the different planet types, the different raw materials, and you can see if you just hover over little bits, so if you hover over aqueous liquid, it highlights the planet, and similarly the other way around. If I hover over gas, I know that I can extract those from that planet, and similarly, you can go onto their page.
it also gives you the schema for everything and what tier it's in. Okay, so as an example, I want to build robotics, so I'll click on the robotics page, and here we are, the nice little schema that shows me to make robotics I need these two materials, to produce mechanical parts I need these two materials, and they are produced by extracting these. So the bottom rung are the items I need to extract from my planet. So these are T0 materials, okay, these are the raw materials. This level is T1, this level is T2, T3, and there is also a T4. But in this video we're just going to cover T0 to T1, okay? So now I know what materials I want to extract. I need to find out which planets they're on and how to do that. So I've already done it for base metals because like I said, I already made the video where I didn't record correctly, but I've already got that set up. So today we're going to look at noble metals on my second planet. So if I come to the thing on the left here, find noble metals in the list, everywhere there's an X is the planet which it can be found on. So these B, G, I, O, S align to these in order, so B is barren, G is gas, I is ice, and so on. So noble metals are available on a barren planet and a plasma planet. I now know that. That's excellent, so I've made use of that resource. There's added functionality to this, but I'm not going to go into that detail now, you can explore that yourself. So I'm looking for a barren or a plasma planet. Go back into game, and the next thing is to then choose which planet in the solar system you're going to place your industry on. Now you can min-max it, and you can jump through all the different solar systems trying to work out the best solar system to get set up on. Planetary materials aren't small, so I like to keep them quite close to the system I'm going to do my manufacturing, because that's what I'm using them for. If you're going to haul them to a trade hub, you might want to be a bit closer to a trade hub, or whatever works for you. Excuse me. But so in this system, I can go through. If you open up the solar system information page, there's a tab called Orbital Bodies. That just gives you a list of everything that orbits the sun in the system, right? So you've got all the moons, all the asteroid belts, and for this, most importantly, the planets and their type. So I know for noble metals from eveplanets.com that I'm looking for barren and plasma planets. I have some excuse me, I have some choice here because there's 1, 2, 3 barren planets and there's a plasma planet. And just I'll now show you how we choose which of those to place it on. There's a few important things to note. First of all, is worth just making a note of the planet radius. This is quite important because the bigger the radius, when you place the facilities, you need to link them all, which I'll cover in a little bit more when we're setting up. But you need to link all your facilities, and if you have a large planetary radius, those links are longer and they cost money. So ideally you want to look for a small planet. Sometimes that's not possible because, as in all with the real world, like gas giants are much bigger than the rocky barren planets close to the sun. So like in our solar system, Jupiter's bigger than Mercury. So if you're having to extract from a gas planet, you're going to struggle to find a small one. But so there's only so much you can do. But just as an example, this one's 2150 and it's barren. If I go to this barren planet, which is further out from the sun, it's 5370, so it's double the size for what is essentially the same resource. The next thing is to look at the planet in planetary production mode. Okay, so you click view planetary production and it takes you to a lovely view of the planet. And now you can do this. I'm docked up, I'm sat in the station at the moment, you can see it, undock. You can do this from the comfort of the station, there's no risk. And once you're in this view, make sure over on the left here you can see these options have arrived. You want to be in the Scan tab, and then here's the list of the materials that are available. First thing to do is check the abundance. So when you're just choosing a planet to build on, you just want to check the resource density. So as a percentage, so it basically goes up. The whiter this bar is, the more of the resource there is on the planet. This is proportional to system security, like most things. So the lower the security, the more abundant the resources. So that's one of the reasons I'm setting up in a 0.5, because it should be, of all the high-sec systems, it should be the most abundant. But in this case, noble metals, you can see on this barren planet, is only 10%. So we then go and look at all the other planets that have no metals on. I've already done the research, so I'm just going to jump to the plasma one, so you can have a look at that. A little bit bigger. Into Planetary Production. You can look at a plasma planet. Love the look of them. I think they look really cool. And you can see already this bar is bigger for noble metals, and we have a resource density of 17%. Now this is the highest in the system, so this is where I want to set up my noble metals extraction on this plasma planet. Okay, now that I've chosen my planet, I just very quickly need to jump out again and explain that to set up planetary interaction you need a command center. And now a command center is unique to the planet you're setting it up on. Sorry, the planet type you're setting up on. So because I'm going to go and set up my PA on a plasma planet, a lot of P's, PI, plasma planet, you need a plasma command center. So I have one in my Orca, plasma command center. As you can see, this is a bit of an annoyance of PI. It's 1,000 meters cubed, so you need a pretty big cargo hold to go and take it out. There's a dedicated planetary commodities ship called the Epithal. It's a Galente ship. I won't go ship tree, you can look it up. It's called the Epithal. It has a planetary commodities hold, so it's used for this. Unfortunately, the command center doesn't count as planetary commodities, so you can't put it in that hold, so you can't use the Epithal to go and set up your PI. You just use it for transporting the goods later. So, in this case, I've just chucked it in my Orca, and we will undock and head to the planet, because even though I said you can scan from in the station, in order to place the in order to place the command center, you have to be next to the planet in your ship, undocked. So we'll head over there now. I know it was I'll just double check, I'm pretty sure it was Planet 4, but let's just check. Planet 4 plasma. So planets, Planet 4. We'll go to the customs office.
Warp drive active.
Alright, and we'll head over there. And now, oh, that's lovely. It's aligned perfectly. That's a very well placed structure, because the Orca normally takes a very long time to align, so it's nice to be able to warp away immediately. Now, while we're en route, we'll land next to you can see the planet coming into view. We'll land next to the customs office. And as we do so, we will go back into the Planetary Production view. Alright, kill that. Alright, now we're in this view. You'll have seen me do it a second ago. But make sure you're on the scan section. So I'll mention the skills as well. So there are a few skills required for so the customs office. So this skill, custom code expertise in trade, custom code expertise, is to do with the customs officers around planets. These, especially in high sec, have high tax rates. They can be owned by an NPC corporation called Interbus. I think they have a standard tax rate of 10%, but they can also be owned by players, and they can set the tax rate to be whatever they want. And unless you're going to get your corporation to war deck them, take them down, place it with your own, you're just going to have to pay that tax. And it just eats into your profit margin as you're doing PI. Not a huge problem, because obviously the longer you do PI, this doesn't have a cost. There's a setup cost, but then if you just keep doing it, that cost gets nullified. But it is a bit annoying. So this customs code expertise reduces the tax rate by that's added by the Empire to the player's tax. So there's a whole lot of tax, but this just reduces it basically. Right, back to the planet. Yeah, make sure you're on the scan window. Choose the resource you want to look at, and you'll see these lovely colours come up. This shows you the hotspots, the resource density for the particular product you're looking for, material you're looking for. Red and ultimately white is high concentration, and blue and empty is low concentration, with green and yellow being in between. You can control the resolution of the scan with this bar. So if the resource isn't very abundant, you want to take it lower, and it will reduce the amount you can see. So I can see that there's a good bit here, there's a good bit here, but the highest concentration for me is here. Now, I need to keep an eye on those so that they don't fly over to me and my orca. Worth noting that these move, so as you deplete the resources, they'll migrate around. The overall amount of resource won't deplete, I don't think, but they migrate, so it's a little bit frustrating. But I know I want to set up near this hotspot, so I'm probably going to place my command center around here. So then you go to the build tab, you'll just see you can only place the command center. It'll give you this little icon to place, and it doesn't actually, your command center doesn't actually matter where you place it. It doesn't need to be anywhere near your facilities at all. It doesn't need to be connected to anything. The only thing is when you open up the Planetary Production window, the view will always default to where your command center is. And then you'll have to scan around the planet looking for your system. So it's just a bit annoying. So I'm just going to place my command center here. And so that's down. The other thing you have to do every time you do anything on PI is click the submit button over here. Submit. So now I have a command center. Now the first thing you'll want to do, click on your command center, you get a nice little 3D thing, you can zoom right in. That is basically it's a hologram of what your command center looks like on the planet's surface. First thing you want to do is upgrade the level. Okay, so this is the current level, level 1, you can go all the way up to here. The skill command center upgrade determines how high you can take this. So level 1 command center upgrade 1, 2, 3, 4 up to level 5. You upgrade it in here, upgrade. I always go to max. Always. It's not cheap. It costs 6.3 million ISK to do that, but it means you shouldn't have any restriction in what you can do on your planet. Click upgrade, and once again click submit. There you go, it takes all the cash out. And now you'll see this list has changed to a whole bunch of stuff, not just command center anymore. Oh, and you'll see the command center has left your hold. Now at this point, if you were being safe, you could go and dock up again. You can do all of this, I think, docked. I'm in high sec and I know the people in this area, so I'm not that concerned. I just got to keep an eye on these guys. So I'm going to stay undocked for the time being. Next thing we want to do is the extract control unit. So this is the thing that is going to they've gone. It's going to extract the raw resources for us. So you can see the white circle that's come up. That's the range that it will be able to extract resources in. So you want to encompass as much of the good stuff as you can. I've placed that a bit far away, that's a bit annoying. But I'm going to come up to here. And once you're happy with the location of that, as always, click submit. Small cost for that one. Next thing we're going to do is just get this running. So once you click on that, you get another window with some options. You'll see program currently not active. We want to click install extraction program. You get this window. First thing you have to do is pick the resource that you want to extract. We know we want noble metals, so I'll click that. It comes up with the scan screen again. Now we've clicked that. This is all the extractor heads, so you can have 10 out at any moment, but they all require some power, which is why we upgraded our command center to max. So we're just going to turn all 10 on. You can see things appearing on the planet in a nice little circle, and some stuff going on over here. The other thing now is the duration of the program. So the nice thing about PI is you can be really passive if you want to, or you can micromanage. But basically, you can go from 1 hour, so just 4 cycles, up to, what's the max? I've not actually looked. 2 weeks. 2 weeks of cycles. But as you can see, the amount of PI you pull in per cycle drops off dramatically as you go through your extraction cycle. So what I like to do is just once a day I log in and well, when I'm online, because I come on about once a day, I just make sure that I just kick it off. So relatively passive. So for the time being, I'll just go 23 hours, so that I can come on a little bit earlier tomorrow and set it running again. So we've chosen the duration. We've got all our heads active. This curve is how much it's extracting per cycle. Whilst you can see the general trend of a drop off, that does buck that every now and again. They're just sweet spots for whatever reason. Next thing we want to do is place our heads, because we can move them, to where the resource is abundant. You can see these figures here. These are the numbers that each head is going to pull in. So you can see this one in the bottom left changing as I move this into the white area. And basically you just want to place these in the most abundant regions. Now it's important to note that the circles around each head can't overlap. That's their extraction region. You'll see if they do overlap, negative percentages come up, reducing how much they'll pull in, so you don't really want to make them overlap. So we'll just place these nice and quick. I don't want to spend too long doing this because it's pretty boring for you guys to watch, but once they're in, we'll be able to move on. And as with everything else, once you're set up and you're happy, let's place this one over there. We click, let's say you got the units, so average per hour pulled in is going to be 20,000 units. That's average over the whole thing. So that's a number worth bearing in mind later on. 20,000 per hour. And we will start extraction. So that says edits pending. That is because over here we now need to click submit, and that's now extracting. But now the next thing we need to do relatively quickly, because one extraction cycle takes 15 minutes. You can see there'll be a white circle start populating around there. You can just see the edge of it now. That'll grow as we do the next bit. This will take 15 minutes, so we need to get a move on now. Next thing we want to do is put in a storage facility, which is where all these things will go when they've been extracted. We need somewhere to keep them. So we'll place that, and again, because I mentioned the links, you want to place all your items as close together as possible for the links between them. So submit. We now have a storage facility. We then need to route our products, so you can see where it says not routed, into the command facility. So you go on the products drop down on the extractor control window, click the product, then you can click create route. You then click where you would like the product to go. Oh, excuse me, I missed a step. Close that. First thing to do is create a link between the two, so click create link, just click A, click B essentially, and then submit, and now there's a link between the two. Then we can route through that link, so products, that product, create route to that facility. You can see plasma storage facility, create route. So now everything that extracts, instead of it just being lost because this doesn't have storage, it will be sent to the storage facility and held there. Okay, next thing I want to do is put down, submit again, always submit. Is put down a launch pad. This will be how we get items off the planet. You can, if you're running just a small shop, you can do it from the command center, but you can only launch, I think it might be once per day from the command center, whereas with the launch pad you can launch whenever you want. So we'll submit that. Again, we will create a link. We want to go from a storage facility to the launch pad, but as there's already a link going through to the extractor head, we can just go extractor head to launch facility and submit. Alright, next thing, essentially this is T0, okay, so if all you wanted to do was collect raw resource, this is everything you'd need. We've finished T0 now, we're extracting raw materials, we're storing them, and we can launch them off the planet. But we don't want to stop there. We want to go to T1 and produce our first refined product. Now, each T0 product can only go into one T1 product. So if we quickly flip back to these planets, we can see that noble metals go into precious. Wait for the recording to catch up. There we are. We can see that noble metals goes into precious metals. So the T1 product we want to produce is precious metals. Jump back into game. To do this, we need plasma basic industry facilities. So basic industry facilities do T1. Let's grab one of these, and I'm just going to place one directly below, and I'm going to, just for the time being, I'm going to place 4, and I'll explain. No, I'm going to place 3 for now. I'll place 3 because again, this is relatively time consuming. You just don't want to see me place loads of these, and we've got to work out how many we need. So we'll submit that. We've got 3 of them. Again, you have to obviously always click submit. First thing to do is click on one of them, and you have to choose the schematic. So these can produce any tier 1 item, but obviously they need the resource. As we're doing noble metals and we need to produce precious metals, we have to select that from this list and click install. We're just going to do that for you cannot create, okay, and then we're routing the resultant product, but I've gone a bit premature again, so stand by on that. I need to put in links again. This time I'm going to link storage to there, this to here, this to here, and that to there. We'll submit that. Okay, now I want precious metals, install, and then this next section, input routes, is where you want the precious metals you've produced to go. And now, because we want to get them off the planet, because we're just producing T1, we want to route these to the launch facility. Create route, and we do that for each one. Launch facility, create route, and the third one, precious metals, install, launch facility, create route. Okay, so we now have these waiting to produce precious metals and send them to the launch facility, but they have no incoming resources, which is what this red ring means. So if we go to our storage facility, where they have, if you go onto the routes tab, you'll see the resources that are coming through, and because it's the quickest route, we have some precious metals transiting through to get to the storage, the launch facility. But we can see noble metals in here. So if we click that, we know that we want to send that to our facility when they're available, industry. So you click create route, click the basic industry facility, and then you can click create route. But first, we'll note that here it's 3,000 units that will be sent to our T1 facility. Now, our T1 facility takes half an hour to complete a cycle, so that means in 1 hour 6,000 units will be sent over to one facility. And we know from our the number we're remembering from when we installed our extractor heads was we'll be, over the course of 23 hours, we'll be averaging 20,000 units per hour. Okay, and we got 6,000 per hour going to each one of these, so at the moment that's 18,000. So I'll also put in a fourth just to account for that extra 2,000, although it won't be working full time, but that'll be optimal. So just 4 facilities here because the resource, abundance isn't very high. Once you're happy with that, create route, and then we're just going to do it for each one. So again, go to the storage facility, find the routes. You'll see there are now some noble metals outgoing because we've sent them over there. But click the incoming ones, create route, next facility, done. And again, routes, incoming ones, create route, that facility, create route. And as always, submit. And I'm just going to quickly put the fourth one in, but just for the reasons I explained, as it's just one more, I'll do it now because it shouldn't take me long. Oh, my need for symmetry has gotten the better of me. So I'll place that there. Submit. Link these two. Submit. This precious metals install to the launch pad. Create route. Over here. This incoming. Create route to there. Create route. Submit. There. So that is our full PI setup, where we're going from extracting T0 noble metals, putting them into our storage facility. We're then sending them to our industry facilities to make T1 precious metals, where they're then being sent to the launch pad, and we can get them off the planet. That's all I'm going to cover in this video. The next one we will look at how much sort of money we've made, and in terms of ISK per day for PI. You can do ISK per hour, but ISK per day sounds nicer, especially at this level. But remember, it's all just passive income. Now that you've spent this upfront cost, which because we upgraded the command center all the way up, we probably spent 8 million putting this down. We will also then look at maybe doing a T2 production. So we know our ultimate goal is robotics at T3. We have our T1 precious metals. I've obviously, because I made the other video, I've also got the other element to make mechanical parts. So in the next one we'll do T2 mechanical parts. Alright, so I hope you all enjoyed the video, guys. It's run quite a long time. I hope you found it informative. If you did, then please like the video so I know that you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see the next ones in the series, and I will also be doing, as I touched on at the start, a video on a series on industry where we'll start at the basic stuff and talk about what you can manufacture as a starter player, and we'll move through into T2 manufacturing and incorporating PI into our industry, that sort of thing. So again, if that's something you're interested in, please subscribe to the channel. But thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.